In today's video, we're going to continue our 2018 NHL Prospect Report series, where we cover all 31 NHL teams and do an in-depth analysis on their complete prospect pools, including their 2018 draft selections. In today's video, we're covering the Tampa Bay Lightning, and that's coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams, so if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So as I mentioned off the top here, today we're talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning's prospect pool. We're going to do an in-depth analysis and go over their top 6 prospects currently in the system, trying to make a regular job for themselves at the NHL level. Now, Steve Yzerman has done a masterful job as general manager of the Lightning, not only with the drafting, but when it comes to making trades and negotiating the contracts for the other players on the roster. Overall, Yzerman has just done a tremendous job. Obviously, today we're focusing on the prospects and the drafting that they've completed here. But as you can see, and you'll know by the end of this video, they do have one of the best prospect pools in the entire NHL. Now, this team is already a powerhouse. As we know, in the last few years, they've been knocking on the door of the Stanley Cup. They're expected to compete and be one of the top contenders again in the 18-19 season. And really, they're going to be set up for years to come once more of these players we're going to talk about today reach into their regular NHL lineup. So let's jump in here. As I mentioned, we're going to cover the top 6, and then at the end, we're going to go over their full selection of 2018 draft selections. So at number 6, I have goaltender Connor Ingram. Now, Connor Ingram was a 2016 draft selection, taken number 88 overall. Right now, I certainly think there's a possibility here in the near future that he could end up being Andrei Vasilevskiy's backup goaltender. Now, I'm not sure Ingram will project to be a starting goalie at the NHL. It is possible, but at least in the short term here, I do see him being a very serviceable NHL backup goaltender. Connor Ingram completed his junior career and played his first pro season last year at the American Hockey League level. When he was in junior, he played for Kamloops in the Western Hockey League, had an opportunity to represent his country playing for Team Canada at the World Juniors before in 2016 as well. He had a pretty solid junior career, and his game transitioned rather well, I thought, to the American Hockey League level last year. He ended up playing 35 games at the American Hockey League level, putting up a .233 goals against average and a .914 save percentage. So really, for a younger goalie in his first pro season, to me, that's some impressive statistics. Some of Ingram's best qualities is that he has terrific lateral movements. He's got really long legs, so when he gets down on the ice, he can really cover the post well and cover the bottom of the net well, especially if he's going after a rebound or ends up in a scrambling type situation. So he's really solid, in my opinion, really down low, covering the bottom part of the net. He's also really solid at coming out and cutting down the angles for a lot of shooters coming in on him as well. So overall, like I said, I've been impressed with Ingram's game here. I've seen him play at the World Juniors. I've seen him play in the Western Hockey League, and I've had a chance to see a little bit at the American Hockey League level. He's progressing nicely. As we know, goalies do normally take a little longer to develop. So I can see him, probably playing another season or more at the American Hockey League level, continuing to own his craft here. But I can see him certainly being a tremendous backup option to Andrei Vasilevskiy here in the short term. Next up at number 5, we have Matthew Joseph, who came from the QMJHL St. John Sea Dogs, drafted in 2015, number 120 overall. Joseph is a player I've had an opportunity to see multiple times here, being that I do live close to the St. John Sea Dogs, so I've had a chance to see a number of their games here over the years. And Joseph is a tremendous prospect, in my opinion. He's got really, really good speed. His speed is by far his strongest attribute. It allows him to create some space for himself. It seems like he's almost getting at least a breakaway every game. I think every game I've ever watched him play in, he's had at least one breakaway. That speed is just so strong. To end out his junior career in 2017, he had an opportunity to play for Canada at the World Junior Championships as well. Looked pretty solid. Put up almost a point per game. Also went to the Memorial Cup at St. John Sea Dogs as well. So he obviously had a lot of good experience there in that final year, playing on the bigger stage, not just for his club team, but like I said, playing for the World Juniors as well as the Memorial Cup. So overall, a lot of great experiences for Joseph. Joseph's a really strong stick handler, good puck handler as well. And to give you an idea of how he did for his last year of junior, he ended up putting 80 points in 54 games. So like I said, he's a very offensively gifted player with a ton of speed. After turning pro last season, a lot of that offense did turn over to the American Hockey League level as well. He got himself into 70 games and put out 53 points. So really, overall, I was very impressed with Joseph's first pro season. Overall, though, Matthew Joseph is really likely to make the NHL. He does have top 6 potential, but even if that offense doesn't translate at the NHL level, I still see him as getting a ton of work at the NHL level for many years. Just the fact that he's such a strong skater, and he can certainly play a bottom 6 role, no problem as well. Next up in the number 4 spot, I have Taylor Raddysh. Now, Taylor Raddysh was a 2016 draft pick, number 58 overall, played his junior hockey in the Ontario Hockey League. Taylor Raddysh is what you'd call a natural goal scorer. Had a chance to represent Team Canada twice at the World Junior Championships the past 2 seasons. Put up some great numbers as well. Obviously playing for a very talented Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds team. Raddysh has put up some tremendous numbers in the Ontario Hockey League. Partway through last season, Raddysh was traded from the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds to the Erie Otters, and he also had a break for the World Junior Championships as well, like I mentioned. But he did end up putting 83 points up in 58 games when he added all up between his time with the 2 clubs in the OHL. So again, another very gifted offensive season for Taylor Raddysh. Raddysh likely gets some time with the American Hockey League level here first before earning an opportunity to play for the big club in Tampa. This season coming up here, 18-19, will be his first pro season. Like I mentioned, Raddysh is a natural goal scorer. He's got a great shot and a nose for the net, so we'll see how much that can translate here to the pro game once he gets his feet wet here this fall. But I do see him having top 6 winger potential. We'll see if that actually comes to be and he can translate that game to the NHL level. Next up, the number 3 ranked prospect I have for you here today for Tampa Bay is Boris Katchouk. Now, Boris Katchouk was a second-round selection in 2016. Actually played quite a bit with Taylor Raddysh, who we just spoke about here. They played together not only for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, but also with Team Canada at the World Junior Championships. Katchouk also had an opportunity to be part of that team that Raddysh was on as well, putting up pretty much a point per game as well. Boris Katchouk is a really big guy, is known as a power forward type of player with really good hockey sense, so he makes a lot of smart plays. He can be a playmaker as well, but certainly not afraid to work hard in the corners, go to the net, and which results in a lot of goals for him. Now, his last season in junior, he ended up putting up 85 points in 58 games and had an excellent, strong year to finish out his junior career. Boris Katchouk needs to work on his skating, though. His skating and his foot speed is certainly what's lacking right now at the pro level. I mean, we'll see how everything translates this year when he makes the jump to the pro game, but that's certainly an area of focus for him moving forward. But he does have the potential to be a top 6 power forward scoring winger for sure at the NHL level. Next up at number 2, we have the big strong defenseman, 2017 first round selection, Cal Foote, 6'4", 210 pounds. He's a real big solid frame, son of former NHL defenseman Adam Foote, so he has some great NHL hockey bloodlines in him. This guy is going to be a tremendous defenseman. He certainly projects to have top 4 potential written all over him, maybe even a top pair guy for sure. It kind of will depend here on how much his offensive game translates to the NHL. During his junior career, though, playing in the Western Hockey League, Cal Foote has been a tremendous offensive two-way defenseman here. This past season, playing for Kelowna in the WHL, he put up 70 points in 60 games. So as a defenseman, he actually averaged more than a point per game. Now, I know there are some scouting reports out there that don't see his offensive game translating quite as much to the NHL level, but I know I've seen other reports, and myself included. I think his offensive game will be just fine. He's an excellent puck mover. He's a pretty good skater as well. So I really see him having a lot of elite potential here to be a top pairing guy when he finally makes a regular job here for himself at the NHL level, which is probably still one more year away. I think Cal Foote likely plays one more year before he has an opportunity to really jump into the NHL. Like many of the other guys we've discussed here today, he was also a member of Team Canada's World Junior Championship gold medal winning team. He's played big minutes for them. He's played a lot of big minutes for Kelowna, so he's certainly used to being a workhorse, and I don't see that changing when he gets up to the NHL level. So not only does he have the abilities of a top pair or top 4 defenseman, he certainly has the conditioning and the work ethic to log those big minutes to play that big role for the NHL team. Now, the number 1 top prospect right now for the Tampa Bay Lightning we have is Anthony Cirelli. Now, what projected Cirelli to the top was his play last year. He was obviously having a very strong season at the American Hockey League level when he received his call-up later in the year, and he got into the NHL lineup and really won himself a job, and they just couldn't get him out of the lineup. He played so well, got into quite a few playoff games as well. So a lot of people, myself included, seem to think it's a lock that he makes this roster out of training camp and becomes an NHL regular player this coming season in 18-19. Now, Cirelli was a 2015 draft selection, played as junior hockey in the Ontario Hockey League for the Oshawa Generals, had a tremendous junior career, and like I said, got a tremendous start to his American Hockey League career last season. He put up 37 points in 51 games in the American Hockey League when he received his call-up opportunity. After receiving his call-up to Tampa, he got into 18 games, put up 11 points. He looked really solid, didn't look out of place at all. And like I said, he played a lot in the playoffs, put up some more points as well, and really was a mainstay in that lineup from that point forward after his call-up. Now, the other good things about Cirelli, he's got a really strong character. You can play him in all situations. He obviously has an offensive upside, but he's got a strong two-way game. He's pretty decent on face-offs. He can be responsible, play the PK. So he really does a lot of things right. He's not a flashy player really at all, but he really just does everything well. And you could probably even argue that he does pretty much everything above average, and he really works hard to make sure that happens. So really, Cirelli has turned out to be a really hardworking, smart player, very versatile. Can play up and down your lineup, and depending on the role he's given here. And I certainly see him cracking the Lightning lineup out of training camp this year and being an NHL regular player from this point forward. So those are your top 6 prospects for the Tampa Bay Lightning. A lot of these guys are certainly almost guaranteed to make the NHL and have an impact on this team. That's if they stay with this team. Obviously, there's going to be a hard time finding room to squeeze all these guys in because they do have a lot of other younger players already holding down roster spots. But certainly exciting for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Moving forward, they can certainly make lots of moves and work these guys in another lineup here and certainly be a strong team here for many years to come. Now I want to take a look at their 2018 NHL Draft selection. So I'm going to put up a full graphic here on the screen to give you a full summary of all their selections, and we're going to go through them one by one to see what else they've added to their prospect pool covered here during the 2018 Draft. Now, Tampa Bay was lacking a first-round selection, but because that was traded during the Ryan McDonough deal to the New York Rangers. So their first selection came in the second round, number 59 overall. They selected a left winger from the QMJHL's Baie-Comeau, Gabriel Fortier. In the third round, number 90 overall, they selected a defenseman out of Russia, Dmitry Semykin. In the fourth round, number 121 overall, they selected another defenseman out of Cornell University, Alex Green. In the fifth round, number 152 overall, they selected a Swedish goaltender, Magnus Krona. In the sixth round, number 183 overall, they selected a forward from the USHL, Cole Kopke. In the seventh round, number 206 overall, they selected a defenseman from the St. John Sea Dogs, Radim Salda. And last but not least, here in the seventh round, number 214 overall, they took another goaltender, and that's Ty Taylor from the Vernon Vipers of the BCHL. So there you have it. There's a 2018 summary for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They got themselves a couple of goaltenders, a bunch more defensemen, and a couple of forwards as well to boot. So they got a pretty good mix there. Obviously, not having their first round pick because of the trade with the Rangers certainly, cost them a potential strong player. But like I said, they've got a ton of prospects already. They've got a pretty strong NHL roster. So I certainly think they were in plenty good shape to take that risk. So I'd love to hear your comments down below in the comment section here. Which of these prospects are you most excited about? Which ones do you think will have the most impact on this team moving forward? If you're new to the channel here, I hope you consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams, and there's plenty of content here for all hockey fans to enjoy. So if you're new, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button as well. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you very much for watching, everybody. We will catch you next time.